Welcome back, dear viewers. And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs stressed that Egypt will continue its efforts with regional and international partners until establishment of Palestinian state. This came according to Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ambassador Ahmed Abu Zaid. He condemned the deliberate bombardment of Nusayrat camp that killed 40 people, including scores of children. Ambassador Abu Zaid added that Egypt will not stop denouncing the Israeli heinous actions of occupation forces. Abu Zaid also asserted that Egypt will work hard with its regional and international partners to preserve the Palestinian rights in order to establish a Palestinian state in the borders of 1967 with East Jerusalem as its capital. The Foreign Ministry also stated that the Israeli violations of the Palestinian rights are continuing day after day in front of the whole world. It also reiterated that there are ethnic actions and restrictive measures for the Palestinians inside Jerusalem. And 11 Palestinians were killed and others wounded on Saturday's dawn in Israeli airstrikes on Gaza City, central Gaza Strip, on the 246th day of Israeli aggression on the besieged strip. According to Gaza Health Ministry, Israel's offensive has killed at least 36,731 people in Gaza, mostly civilians, in addition to over 83,530 injuries. The details in this report. 11 Palestinians were killed and others wounded on Saturday's dawn in Israeli airstrikes on Gaza City, central Gaza Strip, on the 246th day of Israeli aggression on the besieged strip. Occupation artillery shelled scores of projectiles on Zaytun and Sabra neighborhoods in Gaza in the surrounding of the new camp northern Nusayrat in central strip, killing 6 Palestinians and injuring others in Israeli bombardment of Burij camp. The occupation also hit sporadic areas in Rafah city, southern district. Earlier on Friday, Israeli forces bombarded a Gaza refugee camp after a deadly strike on a UN school there, as Gaza war entered its 9th month. Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in nearby Deir al-Balah said at least 40 people were killed in Thursday's airstrike. On Friday, the military as well as the Hamas-run government media office reported another Israeli strike on a school run by the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, in Al-Shati refugee camp. UNRWA said hundreds of displaced Gazans were sheltering at Nusayrat school targeted Thursday, which was hit without prior warning. Separate Israeli strike late Thursday killed Nusayrat mayor and 4 family members as he visited a water pumping station. Witnesses and the Israeli military reported strikes and fighting east of Deir al-Balah and near the Burij camp. Central Gaza hospital source said that a strike on the Wafati home in Maghazi camp killed 6 people. Warships bombarded areas west of Gaza City and military released footage of troops in the southern city of Rafah. Member of Palestinian Red Crescent Society said Israeli forces east of Deir al-Balah were firing on people along Gaza's main thoroughfare, reporting several wounded. According to Gaza Health Ministry, Israel's offensive has killed at least 36,731 people in Gaza, mostly civilians. Welcome back, and now we are joined over the phone by Mr. Ramzy Khoury, journalist. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Sherry.
So, Mr. Ramzy, how do you see the continuous aggression of the Israeli side on Palestinians and the deliberate bombardment of Nusayrat camp that killed 40 people, including scores of children?
This is the daily case every day. Israel has not stopped doing it, and they are attacking the civilian population in specific. Obviously, they're claiming today that That operation was done in this form and manner in order for them to be able to release the 4 hostages. But it's not true. The fact is that the attacks on civilians is deliberate, and it's daily. It's on a daily basis. It doesn't stop, and it doesn't seem that this Israeli government is even willing to stop, because the offer that is on the table today is an offer that is pretty much a no-go from the start. The most important element of any agreement between Hamas and the other groups, and in order for us to do a ceasefire, and in order to be able to do an exchange, is a total ceasefire, guaranteed for a ceasefire, and a guarantee that Israel is going to actually withdraw at the end of the day, by the end of the first phase, let's say, from the whole of Gaza. And what has been put on the table, and all of the pressure is on Hamas now to accept, does not include these 2 elements. The total ceasefire, or a guarantee that there will be a total ceasefire at the end of the first phase or the second phase, a total withdrawal from the Gaza Strip at the end of the first phase or second phase. None of that is there. And basically what that means is that the minute Israel gets all of the hostages, that are the prisoners of war that are in the hands of the Palestinians, then Israel will be able to continue the genocide and the ethnic cleansing that Israel is trying to do in Gaza. And the Palestinians cannot accept that. So we are really in a dilemma right now. It doesn't seem that an agreement will be reached. It doesn't seem that the USA is going to pressure Israel to actually come out of the declaration that there will be a permanent ceasefire, or a total withdrawal of their forces outside of Gaza. And if that doesn't happen, then this can actually continue and continue. With information that we are receiving also from within Israel, from inside of Israel, it seems that Netanyahu's dream is to take this all the way into November. The guy wants the war to continue until the Americans hold their own elections, and he gets the results of the American elections, and then he will decide on which track to go, depending on who won, whether Joe Biden won or Donald Trump won. And if that's the case, then we are talking about bout after bout of murder of civilians until American elections are held. Now, this is not very good for the Americans, and the Americans don't want to see this. This is what Netanyahu wants. This is what this government wants. And therefore, let us hope that maybe the Americans will be able to pressure Israel to go on another track.
So, sir, the State Department said that in a new diplomatic push, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will visit Israel and key regional partners Egypt, Jordan and Qatar from Monday on his 8th Middle East trip since the war began. What are your expectations for this visit?
Well, again, the expectations are all related to what we were talking about just now. Blinken is coming here in order to discuss with the Egyptian leadership, Jordanian leadership, the Qataris, the day after. So if Hamas was to accept the deal, and Hamas was to come out and declare tomorrow, let's say, that they accept the exact structure of the deal, then what will happen with Gaza afterwards? And what Blinken wants to do is to reach an agreement with the Egyptians, the Jordanians, and the Qataris on this issue. The problem is that I doubt that the Palestinians are going to accept the deal unless Israel is willing to commit to a permanent ceasefire, to a total ceasefire, and to commit to the withdrawal of its troops totally out of Gaza. So it may turn out to be a threat that is pretty much useless. And demanding again and again and again that the Arab side, especially Egypt and Qatar, should put more pressure on Hamas. But I don't think that Egypt or Qatar are willing to put pressure on Hamas on a deal that is terrible for the Palestinians. Because the minute that Israel gets its hostages, Israel can actually wipe out the civilian population in Gaza. And Israel has been getting away with murder. And there is nothing to stop it from continuing this murder all the way to the very end. So basically, we are in a quagmire. We do have a problem. We are at a standstill right now. Blinken is going to come and talk about the day after. That's fantastic. What about today? This is where the problem is. And the problem is on the Israeli side. It's not on the Palestinian side. The Palestinians would be total moronic if they accept an agreement that does not include a ceasefire and the withdrawal of troops. All the other elements of the suggested deal, Hamas has already accepted before. So all of Hamas has absolutely no problem with freezes. Hamas has absolutely no problem with the 600 trucks of aid that are coming in. And it's not fair, and it's not right, and it's illegal, and it's a crime to stop aid from coming in. Aid should not be related to an agreement reached. Aid is the right of the civilian population. They have a right to food, to water, to medicine. They have that right. And when Israel prohibits that right, then Israel is committing a war crime. And this is exactly what is going on now. Yet the Americans have actually implemented that into the deal. So if Hamas was to accept the deal, 600 trucks of aid will be allowed into Gaza. And it's ridiculous, and that's unfair, and that's actually a crime. That's a war crime.
So, sir, also the departure of the centrist war cabinet minister Benny Gantz is expected, as he is scheduled to give a speech later on Sunday, in which he is expected to resign. Actually, do you expect that if he resigns, this will lead to Prime Minister Netanyahu losing the backing of a centrist bloc that has helped broaden support for the government in Israel and abroad?
Well, let's make it very clear. If Gantz and Eisenkopf leave the current government, nothing will actually happen on the ground, because Netanyahu doesn't need them in order for his government to stay. The only reason why they are there is for legitimacy. That's the only thing they're offering, because everybody else in that government is ultra-right-wing to the degree of fascism. So we're talking Ben-Gvir and Smotrich. These are fascists. These are right-wingers to the degree of fascism. And therefore, they are very embarrassing to Netanyahu. Netanyahu needs somebody who is right-wing, who is more aligned with the center right-wing. And that's Gantz and Eisenkopf. So their departure will place an issue on legitimacy. Is this government legitimate in the eyes of the world? But the whole world today is Israel. As a Jordanian, Israel as a war criminal. Israel is a very big problem in the eyes of the world today. They have committed genocide. They are conducting war crimes. Netanyahu and his defense minister are probably going to be issued with arrest warrants very soon. Israel is facing all of the court cases that are happening at the International Court of Justice. And at the end of the day, the image of Israel is already destroyed in the eyes of the world. So if Gantz leaves, how is this going to make things worse for Israel? Israel's image is already at its worst in the world, and therefore, I really don't feel that it is that important. I'll tell you where it is important. Why Netanyahu would like Gantz to stay for internal purposes, in order to tell his people that, you see, it's not just about Ben Gvir and Smotrich and all of these right-wing radicals, but Gantz, who was military chief, and Eisenkot, a military chief again, they are on board, and therefore what we're doing is actually right. So this is for internal consumption. And the only way that the Israeli government is going to collapse is if the right-wing radicals leave, like Ben Gvir and Smotrich. If they decide to leave the government will collapse, because they are the ones with Netanyahu's Likud who have the majority in the Knesset, and therefore they are the ones who are able to allow the government to survive or to collapse. But if they do make the government collapse, they are collapsing, because these people know very well that their chances of going back to government in Israel is pretty much close to zero. And therefore, they don't have any interest in leaving the government. So a lot of their rhetoric is empty rhetoric. All of their threats that they will actually take the government down if Netanyahu reaches a deal, blah, 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 blah. I think that these are empty threats, because they don't want to also go into the garbage bin of history. They want to continue all the way to 2025, when Israeli elections are due. And when Israeli elections are due, they think that they would probably have managed to solve their problems, found some kind of victory from all of the mayhem that they have created in Gaza and the West Bank.
Okay,
and
I'd like
be
to
able to
yes.
win elections again.
I'd like to thank you, Mr. Ramzy Khoury, Jordanian journalist. Thank you for being with us. And efforts to mediate the first ceasefire in the bloody conflict since a week-long pause in November appear to have stalled a week after U.S. President Joe Biden offered a new roadmap. Details follow. Efforts to mediate the first ceasefire in the bloody conflict since a week-long pause in November appear to have stalled a week after U.S. President Joe Biden offered a roadmap. Hamas has yet to respond to Biden's proposal, while Israel has expressed openness to discussions but remains committed to destroying the Palestinian resistance. The State Department said in a new diplomatic push, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will visit Israel and key regional partners Egypt, Jordan and Qatar from Monday on his 8th Middle East trip since the war began. In Israel, centrist War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz is scheduled to give a speech later on Saturday in which he is widely expected to announce his resignation from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's emergency government. Last month, Gantz represented the Conservative Prime Minister with a June 8 deadline to come up with a clear day-after strategy for Gaza, where Israel has been pressing devastating military offensive against ruling Palestinian group Hamas. The minister's spokespeople have not provided details of his scheduled speech, but political commentators in Israel's leading newspaper said he was expected to announce his resignation. The departure of Gantz's centrist party would not pose an immediate threat to Netanyahu's governing coalition, which controls 64 of Parliament's 120 seats, but it could have a serious impact nonetheless. And by that we come to the end of today's edition of Arab Affairs. Thank you for watching.